She's just a girl and she's on fire. There you go, Quack.
Quag jiggling, quag jiggling, quag jiggling.
Okay, I am here. Did the bitrate continue to jiggle? How's everybody doing? Good to see all of you. Why is my light not doing the thing? I don't want to turn that on because then it turns my fan on and I have to like walk over there. Ah, there we go. That's better. Hello. McBain, thank you so much for the 18 months. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How we doing? Huntress, Viper, Foster, McBain, Gage. Not at work, so I'm jiggling. That's a whole ass vibe. I will sip to that. So on literally the 4th second of stream today, my bitrate already was unstable. So once again, you know, optimum is not optimal, but nothing I can do. So hopefully it evens out. But I'm gonna do some more messing around with Graveborn action skills today. Yesterday we spent a big chunk of stream applying the fusion class mod to some Graveborn Stabo tech, and it's how you fill in gaps with damage optimally on like Dire Sacrifice. Those explosions can trigger Executioner's Blade. They can get bonus elements and apply dots. They get splash radius and spell radius increases, so we can make the explosions huge. They also seem to get louder when you make the radius bigger, which is fun. So we'll be doing some more of this. Also, maybe mess with Reaper Bones today. I'd like to mess with some Reaper Bones as well. The funny thing about this Dire Sac setup is it can also do Reaper, but I want like a dedicated Reaper build. Hey Jester, how are you? Oh yeah, we tried out the Critical Ascension variant. Let me just respec out of that. Because I just don't want to do that. It works, but let's just avoid that where we can. Yeah, Jake, you are a cat. Good observation.
How's this? That was a rhetorical.
You had mess with Gunslinger River Masher last night and missed answer setup. Man, is that broken? It's such a good time. It's just strong.
Come on, have some fun.
Oh yeah, we can do the Extinction Calamity. Might end up doing some inventory management today as well, maybe. And also, maybe some Garlic Breath farming. So I feel like this build could handle a Melta.
That's quite enough out of you. This isn't even fair.
Oh yeah, one interesting thing that's a result of how Redux scales up enemies is since they get attack speed, those flamethrower goblins are fucking terrifying. Because making that flamethrower tick faster, they absolutely murder you. It's pretty cool, honestly. Reconnus or Nasty Spill? I'll take Nasty Spill for now. Orcanar. Yeah, the explosions definitely get louder if you have more radius.
Insolent vermin! What have you done?
So satisfying. Ow. You guys think there's a poison spell that hits in a similar way this Extinction Calamity does? I mean, other than Garlic Breath. We know Garlic Breath. Also got a decent Sharksman last night. Gun damage, active skill duration, gun mag size. Ooh, that's really good, yeah. Archmage, yeah, it would help out. It's Calamity, but... Base 30-second cooldown. I guess I do want more spell cooldown, huh? I think we respect for the next one. Saw Blades, maybe? Maybe Saw Blades. I'm just worried about, well, I can just shoot the donkey longer. Yeah, that might work out. Poison, Extinction, Calamity, not a thing. Calamities only roll in Frost, Dark Magic, and Fire. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah. Poison Calamity looks so fucking sick. It'd also be a great band name. We got the fusion explosions and the Exi blades there. Look at that. Are they gonna keep looping? They gonna go all the way? Oh, they stopped. Oh yeah, they can self-sustain for a while. Hey Kareem, how you doing?
I feel magical. Looking charming as ever, bonehead. Hardly a scratch. Well, if anyone happens to have some healing. Station inbound.
A poison Calcon could also be good here. Now that I think about it. That Calamity Radius gets kind of crazy. Oh yeah. Solid chain here. Yeah, that some good DPS. Like, I do almost want to try when we do Reaper. What if we just did a Pandemicium build too? At a donkey? Yes. What if we just did Pandemicium? Just cause like we can. Cause the explosions would get The Reaper bonus element. The Cowcon, also known as the Bovine Bamboozle. Let's hit armor. When in doubt, hit armor. You know, Wyvern Companion probably has some pretty crazy formula in this mod, huh? Because, like, I believe Friend to Flame was untouched. So, if Friend to Flame is still conditional, then it's, like, Cursed Wit size damage for just the Wyvern. And what that means is, like, you could run that, Agony, and then have, like, I don't know, a Spore Warden tree supporting for a shit ton of companion damage. Could maybe be decent. But more realistically, you go Stabomancer for critical ascension. You can't get away. It is inescapable. Doesn't get spell scaling blast, guys. You think it can still hold up? Not as well, Scroll, but it might be viable. Maybe. I didn't think this would do as well as it does, but here we are. So I'm always open to being surprised. Spent a wrong skill point. Whoopsie. Yeah, we wouldn't have a Stain of the Soul either, which is nice. Wait. You're thinking the 13 months with the streak. How's my sax feeling? I don't know. I think my sax is pretty good. I don't know if I'm qualified to give an answer on how my sax is. Thank you for testing. Thank you for the 13 Irish. I appreciate it. Means a lot. Isolate your properties other than damage from your melee weapon. Element. And your crit stats. So technically speaking, everything except for the hilt mod and the attack speed. Willingly doing a Melda on a non-gun build. It's an interesting day.
My cranial companion.
Countless threads of fate and fortune are twisted.
She said threads of fate.
Around that castle in the forest. I see only vague
That's an item.
a mushroom.
Oh, that was a barrel.
Very lumpy bean. Anyway, these are, no doubt, ingredients for trouble. Something unsavory is brewing.
The drop difference between TVHM and
I see
normal, both are maximum and level? No.
wandering nearby, who may have a clearer vision
For some of the better melee weapons to use, currently using a pickaxe, depends on what you're doing to deal melee damage.
to find out whose secrets they are.
Like if you're doing Dreadwind, then Wailing Banshee is real great. But if you're doing Ghostblade, then Wailing Banshee is like one of the more inefficient things you could use. Pickaxe is going to be good for swinging, it's good for hammer throwing, it's good for hammer bonking. It's good for Ghostblade, but it's not really worthwhile for Dreadwind. And it's not very good for Exeblade. Assault and Battery is great if you're running from the shadows. Outside of that, it starts to get a little build dependent. For Exeblade, base damage and crit damage are what matter the most for Exeblade setups. So like, Banshee's still quite good there. Big Ounce, if you're playing in Redux, is an option because it has the highest base damage of any melee weapon, but its crit stats are very unremarkable. Assault and Battery has decent base damage with the best crit multiplier, but it's got the worst crit chance. Great Axe could be okay. It's on the higher end of crit damage, it's got a decent crit chance, and still got good base damage. So maybe a Great Axe. Pickaxe is fine for Exeblade if you're not doing from the shadows constantly. It's pretty good because of consistency. You'll be getting more frequent Exeblades that'll crit fine, but their base damage will be a lot lower than what they could be. Doesn't often matter because of how strong Exeblade is, but... Now, that ends up being something you just kind of accept and deal with a lot of the time because there's melee setups where you'd be running Pickaxe where you just also have Exeblade, so you just accept that that weaker Exeblade is better than not taking Exeblade or using a different melee.
That goblin's packing.
My man, hey Swin, how are you?
There's one of those big bean boys.
You've got experience. This is my competition.
Shield options for Zane clone build. There's a clone build in the build doc. It has some recommendations.
Life or life.
But the short answer is many. There's lots of different use cases for lots of different ones. You got Super Soldier, Old God, Revolter, version 0.m, Old God, Frozen Heart, Plus Ultra, Infernal Wish. Like, there's lots of use cases. Depends on what you have clone shooting, depends on what content you're doing. Depends on what augments you're using, what class mod you're using. Depends on how stylish you want to be. I hate the sound design in these loot enemies.
The big right one's coming.
These guys just not take dots. Oh, he's not very good at mantling. Oh, he does take dots. He just didn't for some reason. It's weird.
Those goblins are has-beens now.
Getting anxious for Monday. Really hoping to land this new job.
Whatever, moving on.
Keeping my fingers crossed for you. Blue Fire proc doesn't benefit at all from status damage. That's what it says. I've not bothered to test. But at least I was under the impression of that. It doesn't seem to say that. I doubt it benefits from status damage, because that would be... I feel like the dots we'd be seeing would be doing a lot more.
But they do have
But
crabs,
I don't know.
lots of
I can't
crabs.
say I know with certainty.
I'd watch out while you're collecting crab meat. They're known to pinch. And by they, I do mean rats.
I'll get the elf back. Don't worry. Heads up, we got company.
One more crab for the collection.
Magic time.
It's weird how sometimes the game says, hey, things deals ability damage, for example, it's actually based on something else. I mean, what do you mean? It's usually... I can't think of a case where it's wrong when it says that.
You seem like you've had enough of this crab.
Like, when it says deals ability damage, that's technically true. It's just...
Apocalypse.
It's increased by ability damage in Dreadwind's case, you know? When Dire Sacrifice says it deals ability damage, it's dealing ability damage.
No shame in losing at the best.
Thoughts on Bullseye in the context of a missed answer, critical assumption gun setup, that being 20% per point, how it works out to 5% per point if I understand the formula right. Oh, when you're in from the shadows? Yeah, I mean, Bullseye alone should make it so you just always crit with guns while you're in critical ascension. Because like you'll have Bullseye and Stabbo class feat. So, like your guns should just always crit. I haven't have a file with ×8 Malice somewhere, yeah. Yeah, I just don't know which. I definitely have picked one up and stored it somewhere.
The recipe says, now that you've caught crabs, it's boned. Ah, the monstrous mind that wrote this recipe must be stopped.
75% gun crit chance. Is that before the class feat?
Step carefully. The trolls here pride themselves on the size of
Or
their
after?
piles. But as my cellmate Haggard the Swamp Face always said,
With class feat? Cool. Yeah, so 75%, that's like good enough.
The troll's bones ideally, not yours. Give those bone piles a shake and see what happens. Every day's a grind, isn't it?
So it wouldn't take too much from there to, if you really, really wanted to cap it out, you could. The Stabbo class power increases the class feat. You could get a gun crit damage, or crit chance rather, roll on your armor if you're running Furiors, for example. Furior can Furior Filtios, say that 5 times fast, can get your crit chance. That's before dexterity investment as well, and crit chance shrine.
Would it be too much if I said bone appetit?
You could
Oh, it is.
fairly easily get gun auto crits if you wanted to. Probably not necessary, because with guns you can just hit a crit spot,
Don't worry. Well, the next group will have better luck than all
but
the
it's
rest.
certainly an option. Hey Civil, how we doing?
You're making quick work of these.
83% more crit chance to get 100. Yeah, so it's still 45 on the armor. Yeah, 45 in the armor, and do I have any Filtios to look at? Yeah, it's like 20 or something for the crit chance. Yeah, you could totally do that.
cute skeletons bone snacks instead of bone meals.
And how am I? Doing okay, Civil. Hopefully my internet doesn't shit out too much today. But, I'm vibing. Hey Casey, doing some Dire Sack Contagion shenanigans. Dire Sack Contagion Fusion shenanigans. We started that yesterday, and doing it more today. We're actually going through Imelda's Mirror so I can farm Garlic Breath, because there's a specific part combo Garlic Breath that I think would go really hard on this build. So I do want to spend some time going for that. Currently we're using an Extinction Calamity, because it's actually, it fits in quite well here. What Fusion allows us to do here, Fusion plus Contagion plus Exiblade, is we can just kill things with raw instances of damage. It's kind of like OG Contagion builds. It's a fun time.
I see an invitation to dinner.
Your goose is cooked. Your wine is trifle. Your
This hurts you more than it hurts me. Probably not much more.
She was out of her
Manicky, thank you for the 30 months with a 5 streak. Birthday gift to myself, supporting the homies. Happy birthday. I don't think that's how birthdays work, but I appreciate the support. Thank you so much, and happy birthday. I hope it ends up being a good one. I really do appreciate that. Okay, crit chance spell charge. We want double crit chance spell charge.
She's just a girl and she's on fire. There you go, Quack.
My birthday gift to myself is supporting the homies.
Thank you so much, Manicky.
An unsavory mind.
Hey, Pragmatic, how are you?
Dreamvale Overlook. I wonder, what exactly am I overlooking? Looks like this menu.
Good question, Fate Maker. What are we overlooking?
Right. Murder.
Yeah, so because of Fusion, this should be pretty simple to farm in all phases. Figure out where to aim with the White Rider here.
Bring that lost soul back to
I'm still disappointed you can't just jump into the pot. Imagine losing a run that way. Funniest way to go.
we get rowdy. Let's get rowdy.
Why do I get the feeling there's something extra cheesy behind this menu?
Just got the notification for what you were waiting on.
what monsters reflect.
Started doing Chaos Climb and Redux for stream. Yeah, Twitch notifications. They suck. Completely worthless, if you ask me. Chaos Climb and Redux generally feel like the endless hordes of exploding mobs so far are more annoying than anything else. That's just me. That's the point. That is the stated purpose. It's to force you to have a trial to overcome. It's not supposed to be simple or easy. And in Redux, where you've got an air dash and a double jump, no restrictions on either.
My command.
enemies that rush you in a straight line but can't move faster than you are a very simple thing to deal with as long as you engage with it.
Sorry, that was supposed to be a warning shot.
Weird shit from what we experienced in vanilla. I think it's conceptually in the same wheelhouse. Like, in vanilla, the check was, hey, this boss is gonna be a wall. And originally, you'd have to deal with Drill and Wastard regularly, and Celissa regularly enough that they were something you had to account for in all your builds. Eventually, when they changed how you progress through chaos levels, you don't actually have to deal with Drill or Wastard until a fair bit in. I think the first mandatory one of either is like 35, and then the next one is like 53 or something. But that's like the big thing. But then they nerfed both Drill and Wastard. Wastard significantly, Drill somewhat less so, to the point where it's really not as much of a check anymore. So Redux, to its credit, is like, hey, there needs to be a check here. Need to have players do something. Hey, Higgy Brit, how are you?
My pretties.
Because if we have a, as been proven by Borderlands 3, if we have an endgame difficulty system that does not have that enforced progression, where you have to clear something that requires effort to clear, then we just end up with BL3 Mayhem levels where everyone goes to the highest one and then complains when they're on the highest one unprepared. As flawed as OP levels in Borderlands 2 are, they forced people to either go through an extremely roundabout process of getting boosted and then getting hit with that wall, or they forced you to have some amount of knowledge of what you were doing, because you had to do Digipeak on your highest OP level.
It's a good night to face your fears, and the embodiment of everyone else's fears.
Which was honestly less forgiving, because you weren't allowed to die if you're solo. You can die in Chaos Trials, so you have multiple lives.
Looks like this menu features witch's brew, Eero sandwich,
BL3, just move the slider to the end. Wonderland's more like BL2 in that regard. I don't think players complain because they turn up difficulty to the highest should be a Redux problem. You'd be surprised. If there were not Chaos Trials in place, it would absolutely be louder than the just kind of edge cases you hear about now. It's still necessary. Because who are the players of the mod? They're still Lands players. And I would say a pretty healthy chunk of those players are people who they were most turned off by the fact that they needed to be on higher chaos levels for a higher loot luck, which doesn't affect farming as much as they think it does, but, you know, they want to blame their streaks of bad RNG on the loot luck system, which is what it is. It's fine. But the point is they want higher drop rates through their Dedi farming, so they want to be on the higher difficulty levels, but because they don't play the game, they don't engage with things like boss mechanics, so they can't clear the trials. So once again, if you remove the stopgap of having some sort of gameplay-intensive trial, those people are going to get to where the point they want to be is, and then fail, and then blame the game.
Someone's cooking up trouble, eh?
You gotta have something.
Guess I can dish out some pain.
Cannot escape my
And progressing to 10 is a lot faster than progressing to 100, so... Once again, we've seen what happens when there's nothing. That's BL3. I got health bug right now. maybe I don't. I feel like she would have died if I had health bug. Maybe I'm just cracked.
Look on your face.
Yeah, I'm just cracked.
Bring that lost soul back to me when you're
And play for 100 is just a time investment. I maintain that it's not that much of a problem, but you know, I'm probably the target audience. Like, I still view it like Diablo 3, where it's not really intended for you to be farming Greater Rift 150, right? That means you've just like actually maxed out the game. And it took several years for anyone to get that far.
Features witches brew, hero sandwiches, and right, murder.
See, I don't mind OP levels, I recognize the flaws, but I like them compared to Mayhem. I think Mayhem levels in implementation are better in every possible area, with the exception of slag being associated, slag and health regen being associated with like UVHM. And then the enforced progression is a model I prefer. Gameplay balance wise, OP levels do not hold a candle to Mayhem levels. That's just objective fact. Not even people who dislike BL3 over, you know, liking BL2 would say that OP levels are a better system. Because it's just not. Wish health bug wasn't a thing? Yeah. In Climb Chaos Series, it's odd that nearly every mob just run at you and explode so far outside of the giant mobs. Like the concept. Appreciate more diversity in mobs that happen as I climb Chaos Tiers. Each trial is fixed and it's like a different theme. So it could be exploding enemies that fly at you, exploding enemies that walk at you, exploding enemies that do ranged attacks at you. So there'll be different things, and they won't all just be, hey, exploding enemies. There are other things going on too.
Next time, learn to pick an easier mark, eh?
Good damage.
At least your imagination won't go to waste.
Torment 13's too hard. Why? You know, Torment only went up to 6, and then they added 8, then they added 10, then they added 13, then they added 16, and Diablo players did not complain. The Lance player mentality thing.
Why do I get the feeling there's
I'll explode
something
because chaos.
doozy behind this mirror? Someone's cooking up trouble, eh? I guess I can dish out some pain.
Thing about everything exploding is very on brand for Tina. Missed opportunity vanilla, to be honest. At least there's the there's like enough exploding enemy types in the game. It's like none of those are new. It's just it's a rare room type you can get in normal Chaos Chamber runs, or an extended, where you can get a room of entirely exploder enemies, like, of one type. It's pretty cool. There's a few, like, I don't want to call them secret enemy sets like that, but there's a few enemy sets that are just kind of interesting. Like, there's one that's all wyverns, there's one that's all exploder skeletons, there's one that's all exploder mushrooms. There's one that's all, like, fiery skeletons. It's very creative.
Just like I planned.
Bring that lost soul back to me when you're free.
Like, this is a decent role for this class combo. Because sneak attack is good in the mod now.
Thanks
I guess
for
Lord of
coming.
Edges is kind of
I'm not keeping you for
anti-synergistic, huh?
something, am I?
Like, overall, that's not bad. It's
Find
just
what you've got.
Stabo Grave. Does that seem worth when you could do any other class combo? I don't know that it is. I have a lot of souls in this save, holy shit. Sneak attack worth? It's crit damage and movement speed. If you're running selective amnesia, movement speed is damage. And also movement speed is just nice in general. This also means that Stabomancer now has the most movement speed. It's not just tied. It's like you have 24% from 3 points in haste, and then you have up to 20% additional from 5 points in sneak attack. It's still minor damage-wise, but it's damage and movement. And particularly if you're running amnesia, then you get both the damage and the movement. Trials will really only take an hour or two and give you great XP overall, so I still prefer them over vanilla. Yeah, the time constraint is squished down, which I think is more accessible to people in general. I maintain that the existence of Chaos 100 is still a good thing, it's just this fan base can't suffer it. Like, it's been a request since BL3. You know, the idea of uncapped mayhem. 100 is much closer to uncapped than anything else. It's just not in this fandom. I genuinely do think that the reception to Chaos levels in this game killed the chances of that ever happening, by the way. I do not think we will ever get uncapped difficulties or massive amounts of difficulty options in a lands game ever again. Here's an idea for an action skill in a future Borderlands game: summon and command 30 to 40 feral hogs. Yeah, I don't think the game could handle that many things on the screen, but you know, maybe I'm wrong. On topic of movement speed, how does Swift Death work exactly? Stated value can scale by movement speed %. Yeah, I forgot you didn't play BL3. There's a scale to it. The faster you move, the more you get. It's... yeah, you don't get the listed value, you know, and then nothing else beyond a certain point. It's... the faster you move, you get more. So at, like, max investment in vanilla, you get a decent amount. It's not anything bonkers. Like, Zane has a skill called Violent Momentum in Borderlands 3, where he's got that same sort of deal going, but with gun damage, and then it ends up where he can get thousands of percentage gun damage. Swift, I think, that crazy, but it's good.
Why do I get the feeling there's something extra cheesy behind this mirror? Looks like this menu features witch's brew, hero sandwiches.
I don't know if I'm going to play this next D4 beta, because I don't think there's anything new in the next weekend that wasn't in the other two, so... and I already played the other two. And unless they've changed the balance of Barbarian and Druid, then maybe I try it, but...
No witch compares to me. Not even sandwiches.
and yeah, it's how fast you're moving in the moment scroll, so it's entirely possible that dashing around is meta with Swift Death. Like, that's something I'd never thought about.
And that's how it's done.
At least your imagination won't go to waste.
If there's no chaos trials in future games, wonder how that affects chances in Borderlands 2. We have precedent for each of the outcomes now. We have enforced progression one by one the entire time, and that's BL2, and very few people want to do it. Partially because of how the game is balanced at that endpoint, but there you go. Then we have do what you want, do whatever with BL3, where people just tried to skip to the endpoint immediately, and the game's overall balance suffered several times because they balanced around people who did not learn anything. Did not play the content in the game before deciding they had educated takes on how the game works. Like, we had that. And then Wonderlands, we had enforced progression again. But it's not like the learning issue stopped, because things like how much damage enemies do became a problem for a lot of players. And instead of, say, investigating survivability options, those players complained until bosses were nerfed into the ground in this game. So the complaining thing is always going to happen. It's debatable whether planning around it is even worthwhile at all, because it's Lance players. It is always going to happen. But I do not want a situation where we get some well-crafted endgame content that gets nerfed into the ground difficulty-wise, because people were allowed to just put the slider up to max instantly, fuck around, find out, and then blame the game. And then Gearbox, being a dev that wants to please their fans, will cave to vocal feedback, which is how we get bad changes like Guardian Takedown nerf, bad changes like the World Drop nerf, you know, multiple times. Popular community feedback has caused changes to be implemented into the game that were not in the best interest of the game, and that did nothing but take away options from other players. So, like, is what it is. I think they can help players learn things like trials. If to get to a difficulty level you want to be on, you have to fight a boss that has mechanics that you cannot clear that boss if you don't do the mechanics, that is forcing you to learn. And then don't budge. As long as the boss itself, as long as the circumstances themselves are well designed, that's fine. Something they could maybe do is have more extensive tutorials. Really beat people over the head with things like, hey, element matching is a pretty good thing. And just remind them of that in endgame content, not just in the tutorial area. Or the first time they pick up an item of a particular element. No, core concepts like that. Maybe some sort of tutorial telling people avoiding damage is a pretty good way of not taking damage. Because you might think that's a very simple concept, but lack of having the thought to avoid damage is why a majority of people complain about enemy damage. Majority of people who did voice the complaint about enemy damage complain about it in this game. Because all damage in this game is avoidable. All of it. Even without double jump and air dash, you have so many movement tools in this game. And map design really allows you to move around a lot of it too. Not getting hit's the best form of survivability. But then we also have, you know, hero stats, tank power, constitution, and vanilla. Investing into this alone makes some enemies, like, unable to reasonably kill you. It's not hard to live. Just telling people that it's something they have to actively do could go a long way towards getting them to make that decision to learn it themselves. Stick by D3 grifting, you can go to whatever the highest you did is, but you have to have gotten there on some character. In theory, that works out, but you will get people who go to the top on whatever is the most busted setup that can easily be achieved. Whatever YouTuber told them to do that, they'll do that, and then they'll go on a different character, and they won't have any idea what they're doing. They'll go immediately to the highest, and then they'll complain, and then that character gets needlessly buffed. Once again, we have BL3 precedent for this. Difficulty 2. Second, the tutorials, people need to have the game tell them not to fuck around, find out until you're ready to do so, because self-education is hard. Yeah, like, I think a more comprehensive tutorial system, some kind of tutorial codex even, like a lot of other games have, could be really good.
I still can't believe she would give up her mind for a thing so paltry as power.
What? Was that it?
She's not dropping me a lot of garlic breath, chat. The thing is, like, it's Deddy from Form 1, but I think Form 1 I still have to do the whole mirror. Let's see. Like, literally, the data shard jack he gives V in Cyberpunk 2077 only accessible throughout the entire game. Call it the player's handbook even. It's literally a tabletop gamer scene. Yeah. IMO, they should have done is keep Chaos 50 or make it 69 because funny, the cap, and have uncapped Chaos beyond that grants absolutely no additional rewards, superior difficulty. Make it abundantly clear to the players, higher difficulty purely for showing off. That's literally what they did! What do you mean? That's literally what happened. They did that. And it didn't work. That is literally how it works. I mean, like, not even drop rate boost? I guess. But I maintain that, like, the whole loot luck thing is just a scapegoat more than it actually being a problem. Because just shit ain't that different. One, if you have max loot luck, Deddy drops from enemies that have 4 or fewer items are comparable to or higher than Borderlands 2 Deddy drops. For example, getting an auto magic from Banshee with max loot luck is easier than getting a Herald from Savage Lee, percentage-wise. But obviously, we have things like Chaos Tiers, we have part variants, we have it being a harder farm in general, we have most people not being willing to get their loot luck that high. But that doesn't change the fact that the rates aren't the difference there, so loot luck isn't to blame. It's just a scapegoat. So, like, even if high chaos levels didn't affect drop rates, people would have the same complaints. The goalposts would simply move.
Come on, have some fun.
So we can finish more part variants in the next one. It's out of control. It is. Like, Like, even some of the light touches from Redux made a massive difference. Like, just not having Chaos Tears, squishing a couple of the crit stats together into one stat, not having luck in the amulet pool. Like, the variance in a lot of cases is still crazy, but it's so much more manageable. Like, you can reasonably farm for somewhat specific roles of things. It's still harder than I think it needs to be. Especially, like, keep in mind, this game has fewer items than BL3, like, overall. A game like BL3 that has a ton of different items, you don't need to, well, you never need to, but, like, it's even sillier to try to pad out the runtime by, like, getting the item hard, and then getting a specific version of the item hard, and then there's also fucking 360 of them in the game. Uniques. Like, maybe you don't gotta do all that. In this game, where there's, like, what, 160 or something like that? Devil's Advocate, it makes a little more sense, but we still have more layers than we need. Spell damage, spell crit damage, spell radius. That's satisfying. Like, let's actually pull up Loot Lemon real quick. I want to put some numbers to this thought. Alright. Borderlands 3. Let's go with everything except the data mine stuff. 318. Fuck it, we'll include the green strike because that's a fun meme. So 319 unique weapons in Borderlands 3. 319. I don't know if this even has everything. Does this have the Echo? No, not the Echo. Does it have Hunter or Hunted Huntress? Does it have all those? It does. Okay. So, yeah, 319 unique guns in BL3. Now, not all of those are going to be, you know, farmed or sourced and all that, but the point is, when there's that many uniques, people could spend time just getting all of them, even if they all drop 100% of the time on the first run without any part variance whatsoever. It's still gonna take a lot of time to get one of everything. Now let's look at Wonderlands. Wonderlands weapons, just weapons, there's 93. So 1/3 the amount, but we're talking dozens of times more difficult for, like, each of them. And it was already too much in BL3. So, like, the curve is steep. It's gotten worse game to game. And I hope this conversation being a lot louder post Wonderland's release makes up for the fact that people ignored this conversation post BL3 release. I hope that now it being trendy among the circles of people who said, hey, no, part variance based farms aren't rare farms. It's now trendy in those circles to farm part variance based stuff. So, like, I hope that being the case has changed some opinions.
Finally, that cooldown took ages. What? Was that it?
Speaking of weapons with the Scalawag called in Redux, Bolt Thrower. It's called the Bolt Thrower. Another 1,000 lost souls spent to Vesper, got 1 pearl, just not the agony. Yeah, for some reason, Ken, when I go pearl farming, I just get the pearls other than the ones I'm looking for. Like that last Vesper farm I did, I don't know how many souls I spent. It was like 3,000 total, and I ended up getting 2 agonies, but they were like at the end. Like, it was within my last 5 runs, I got 2 agonies. But before that, I got a negative force and like nothing else. It was a mulligan, so that was lovely. Let's go. It's a huge W. Mulligan's sick. I'm putting in time when you put in 8+ hours to 1 armor, so don't even come away with just the class setup you're looking for alone. This pisses me off. It should be achievable through a grind, but the thing is with a multi-layered system like this that has, it's designed to have barriers on top of barriers, there is not a point where, like, there's no mercy mechanic, right? Even gacha games often have mercy mechanics. Like, let's say you buy enough packs of, you know, of champions or cards or whatever fucking game you're playing. Eventually it'll be like, okay, you've opened this many of this rarity without a drop, we're gonna make the next one guaranteed for you. There's nothing like that in these games. So you could theoretically be stuck on a grind forever. Not even an unreasonable grind. Not talking like getting every stat the way you want it. Talking like getting 1 stat you want. You could be stuck forever.
Drop the ball. My spell is ready.
Like, that's appealing for some people. But personally, as someone who plays this game for, like, these games for the combat systems, you know, the build crafting, that's not appealing to me. If I wanted that, I would play a gacha game and intentionally not trigger the mercy mechanic. Because that's all it is. And while I'm all for a blending of elements of different game genres, I don't feel like we need more gacha game stuff in the looter DNA than is already here. So I'd hate the idea of having to do that sort of pity thing. Like, hey, you've killed this enemy 20 times and didn't drop the deadie, here you go. While that's a solution, I would prefer we address the problem in a different way. Got a new gun, heart check. How do we feel about it? Looks like it'd be good for dot things. There's dire need to always apply one. The dot seems kind of weak. I need to use that gun more extensively. I need to get some on this safe. I'll hit the AR bunny here. If the dot it applies is weak, then that kind of limits its use. But it always applying a dot could be useful, especially for setups like this, like Fusion, where you just need the presence of certain kinds of dots. I don't care how much they're doing. I'm not using this White Rider because White Rider is good. I mean, White Rider is good, but I'm using it because it hits frequently enough that it basically always applies a poison dot.
My command.
Hardly a challenge.
Hear me out. Loot box microtransactions for drops. We've had this discussion a couple times. Shit. Hit the wrong button. Yeah, I'll take that all there. Loot box is bad. Loot box is absolutely bad. But microtransactions could be implemented in a way that could give these games a shot in the arm to have the post-launch support and DLC cycles people want from them. BL2 and BL3 both had cosmetic microtransactions that were generally well received. Main issue I have with gacha games is the fact they prey on people with gambling addictions of much less of an issue. A pity system in Lands games, seeing as you don't pay money to roll each time. Granted, it shouldn't have gotten to the point where you feel the need to have this kind of conversation. Yeah, I feel like it's a solution, but it's not like addressing the problem as much as slapping a band-aid on it, because it's still not addressing the circumstances that you could farm for ridiculous amounts of time to no avail whatsoever. Like, it's not stopping that from happening as much as it's just putting a cap still at an unreasonable point down the road. Like, I don't know. Treating the symptom type beat, right. Things I would pay microtransactions without much complaining. Yeah, microtransactions are not inherently bad. And no, I'm not being paid by EA to say that. It's just often they've been implemented in such an anti-consumer way. Stuff like loot boxes. Loot boxes are microtransactions at their absolute fucking worst. But stuff like cosmetics, it's proven to be a very lucrative model. Look at Fortnite. Hey Don, how you doing? Spent almost 1K on a gacha before I realized I had a problem. I've spent a lot of money on certain games as well, like gachas and MMOs, particularly Eastern MMOs, are designed to just get you to spend before you realize how much you've spent. And it's deceptively effective. Like, you don't realize what's happening a lot of the time. It's bad. Heart check, thank you. Play Magic the Gathering and have a crippling addiction to opening booster packs, so IRL loot boxes. Luck-based microtransactions I dislike. Yeah. Once again, loot box L. Paid my fair chunk of money to Warframe for 2 reasons. Cosmetics are sick, and I like the company and what they do. They release a good update. I have a great few couple months. I like to chuck a little money at the game. That's nice of you, Viper. Spending lots of money on an online medium for a specific product. I feel seen. Age of internet consumerism. Ken. It's more of us than we'd like to admit. Anything obtainable through microtransactions should be obtainable through normal gameplay. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like, I think pay to convenience is a good model, where, sure, it's something you could obtain through longer, more difficult means, but ultimately you can pay to shortcut to something that is not necessarily inherently winning, but a more convenient feature or a cosmetic or something. That works for me. That's fine. But I don't think it's necessarily bad to have purely paywalled cosmetics, because you can look at it as a way of supporting the game. And if it has no effect on gameplay, then, like, people are still getting the same gameplay experience. Pay to win bad, pay to convenience fine. It's the short way of saying that. With TCGs, I expect to spend a shitload to play, so I just go straight for the individual cards I need rather than trying to gamble on getting them. See, that's the much more logical way of handling it. I think the idea behind stuff like loot boxes is to get people to just do it before they think about it that way. Or not provide the option to go directly for a thing, in many cases. In, like, MMOs that have player-to-player trading systems, then yeah, there's ways of getting around, but a lot don't have that. Put away my fate breakers. Live Western reaction. So in excess of $150 on Warframe, don't regret it much. Devs are cool, game's good, monetization system's pretty ethical. That's nice. You can trade for the premium currency, so you can go fully free to play and only miss out on a small percentage of things, not spending direct cash. Yeah, that is definitely not the norm. Is Warframe a... Like, you buy the game, right? Just buy the game and then play. It's not, like, free to play. Or is it just completely free to play? If you go that route.
Come on, have some
Free to play? Yeah, then that's a huge W. That's a huge W. Most games that do the, hey, you don't need to pay to get into the game model, they really try to force you to be so inconvenienced that you pay. But Warframe not doing that's cool. That's definitely not industry standard. You can have X after doing X, or just pay $5 now and get it now. As long as it's not something for like a massive gameplay advantage, I'm cool with that. Not getting many Axie Blades right now. That's why the Garlic Breath's gonna go hard, because our spell crit chance will be higher. So we'll be getting a lot more Axie Blades off of Fusion itself.
Finally, that cooldown took ages.
And PSO2 paid stuff is 95% cosmetics and a simple bonus side for leveling faster, slight rare drop boost. The rest few things like quality of life. Many things can also be earned by playing, getting the free-to-play freemium currency or buy from player shops. That's nice. Closest thing there is to massive gameplay advantage is resource and experience boosters. Even then, you can obtain those relative ease without spending a damn penny on the game. Yeah, that firmly falls into quality of life. It's not like stuff like Star Wars The Old Republic. I don't know if they're still doing this, but individual activity types have weekly passes if you're not a monthly subscriber. So either you pay $15 a month to keep access to everything and like all of your quick bars and the ability to hold all of your currency at once, among many other things. Like even some things will cost less in-game currency if you're a subscriber as well. It's crazy. But there'll be like, you can't do dungeons without a pass. So you have to either pay real money for a pass every week or get one from another player with in-game currency. Which requires somebody had to have bought it at some point with real money for it to be on the market. So, like, you just can't do certain activities. And then there's one for, like, each individual type of activity. So, like, one for raids, one for the ship minigame, one for dungeons, one for PvP. It's like, wow. Technically, you can get it for free, but... not really. That's what free-to-play is in the gaming industry. So Warframe not doing that is a huge W for them, and I wish them all the success for it. Warframe go to go play it, except Quag, respect your backlog. What if I disrespect my backlog? Disrespected respectfully. Spent $100 on Rocket League cosmetics. They said that money would go towards esports, and guess what? Their esports scene is bigger than ever. Yeah, that's a perfect model of how cosmetic microtransactions can just go to supporting the future of the game. If it's a game you like and you want to contribute towards that, then you have those cosmetic microtransactions as a way of doing that while also, like, getting something for yourself in the game. It makes sense as a model. And as long as it's not done through something like loot boxes or pay-to-win shit, that it's not predatory. And as long as they're very clear about what they're selling and what you're getting out of it, then it's all good. Microtransactions is just a buzzword because of people latching onto the ways it's been, like, EA-ified. Like, if Borderlands 3 had gotten a steady stream of cosmetic microtransactions, maybe not for $10 a skin. That price tag was maybe a little too high for me. What if they had done, like, you know, more groups of those body cosmetics with a head and skin? I'd have kept buying them. If they're like, hey, yeah, so we're gonna sell these so we can just, like, keep making content, I'd be like, hell yeah. Because there's probably a world in which active development for an old game becomes less profitable than they'd want to do from a corporate standpoint, so having that on the side would mitigate that. So we got one hard check. What else did I want in here? Oh, yeah, garlic breath. Another thing in Warframe, there's some cosmetics you have to outright purchase with money rather than the premium currency, because it's actually user-generated content and the creators of it get a kickback for every purchase. That's cool. That is pretty neat. I want more garlic breath, but hard to get my hands on one. I don't really want to do entire runs of Imelda 1. I guess that's a point of feedback I'd maybe give to the Redux team. The deady items from version 1 of Mirror Bosses, I'd like if they had an alternate source. It's like, it's fine if you're farming something sourced from 2, 3, or 4, because you can just go to the boss. Like, I know I could go to the wheel, but it's still pulling from a wide pool. Like an alternate Dedi source for Form 1 stuff would be cool. Like, leave the current one in place, just give them an additional one. Anyway, let me check my bank account to buy the customizable horse pack from Warframe. Funny you mentioned that, Viper. One of the most disliked DLCs from when DLC as a model was a lot newer was a horse armor pack for Oblivion. It was... I forget how much it exactly cost, but it was just like purely cosmetic armor for a horse that did absolutely fucking nothing. And like, it was money, and they marketed it as like a full DLC. It was weird. But people did not like the idea of that DLC, and I can't really pinpoint how that would be different than what I'm suggesting with, you know, other cosmetic content. So I wonder how that stuff would be received. I have people spending almost 6 figures on skins in video games. Horse armor's just ahead of its time, do you think? What if Wheel just spit out the dedicated loot from mirrors? That would also be nice. Problem is, I've done more than like the first form of all of them, so like it would still be a wider pool. Like if I went to Mirror Form 1 Imelda, she's only gonna have, you know, the World Drop pool and her own dedicated pool. If I go to Mirror Form 4 Imelda, then there's like other stuff in there. If I go to the wheel, then it'll have stuff from Imelda's mirror, it'll have stuff from Chums' mirror, Theodore's mirror, and stuff. Like, this isn't a problem created by Redux. It's just something that Redux has solved for like forms 2 through 4 of the mirror bosses. I'd like for it to be solved for Form 1 as well. That's all. Get a horse in the new update and customize it as standard, but other horse bodies, horns, tails, saddles are required with premium currency, and I'm going to buy the bundle with all options. Methinks. Hey, if it makes you happy. I have horses, could buy horse armor, it's extremely expensive to get custom made plate and chainmail armor for horse, but I could. See, I would not be a responsible horse haver because I would buy dumb shit like that. It would not be okay.
I feel magical.
The only unique amulet I've unlocked in Redux is Dingle Dangle Sap. I drops of that. I do see a lot of Dingle Dangles. Yeah. At least Vorkanar's amulet is really good in the mod, so that being in that pool is good. Like, if you just have the Dingle Dangle, then yeah. And then if you have Revotes, that's another just trash one in the pool. So you can have your unique amulets just populated by, like, 2 stinkers. Kind of wild. And Vorkanar's technically takes 2 slots because there's 2 versions. Like, the Blightcaller one is from Mirror 4. And then the Clawbringer one is from Vorkanar. But yeah, unique amulets are kind of a Bit of a bloated pool, huh? Well, time for another live Wastard reaction. This has been Fusion with Wastard. I gotta buff my boy, right? Right? This design rules, it does. Master 2 strong, please nerf. Well, it's a buff when wearing his fedora. That's not a spell in law right now. I'm still understanding your meaning. You're good. I'm chilling. Oh yeah, Acid Rain. I wanted to mess around with this and see if this could be a good fusion fuel. Try that out over here. I think it's a pretty accurate gun. You tried Message? I know Message applies a good dot, but it only hits one time. There's the high risk of self-damage. It's a low uptime on actually shooting. The thing that matters more than like getting a quality poison dot here, Lizzie, is we want a lot of poison dots. They can be absolute trash poison dots. We don't need them to be good. We just need them to exist. I see Optimum is deciding that I don't need to have bitrate. That's cool. Thanks, Optimum. What's your HP like, Ollie? I'm on fire! Thank you, Ollie. Ollie, best character. Yeah. Can Blue Flame proc Blast Gas? Yes. It can proc Exeblade, which means it should be able to proc Blast Gasp and Double Knot as well. I don't have Blast Gasp at the moment, but an option certainly would be to run an armor that gives Blast Gasp. I would just be giving up Contagion additional points for that, which maybe I could get away with because I already have Contagion. Something to consider. I think my favorite one was the It's Raining Sideways. Classic.
Think you can make it?
rail situation.
Oh, that is a
Maybe want more reload speed with this one.
That one's mine. Don't touch that loot.
How exactly do these projectiles work? I guess maybe with extra radius from Big Ounce, I don't need to be precise here. Are these even splash? This is hard to figure out. This doesn't seem more worth. I'm disappointed. Like, I get a short little burst of decent amount, but outside of that, No, thank you for the 33 months and the tier 2. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Got like a wave a little over the middle of the crosshair. Okay. So aim for chest. Don't care about crits. Thank you so much, Nunu. Spell charge, crit damage, spell radius, Garlic Breath.
Quack.
Quag jiggling, quag chad, quag jiggling.
Why did it cut off? It just didn't want to say qua. Okay, qua. Yeah, spell charge, crit damage, spell radius is good. I want crit chance over crit damage at the moment. And there's my ammo. Meanwhile, Donkey just does a lot more because I don't stop. Didn't really like the aspirin. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it's for me. I'll keep it in my inventory in case I change my mind, but it doesn't seem like it's for me.
True power yet.
Spell Sniper and Spell Crit Chance on Rings, Garlic Breath seem to be... I don't know how good it would be with Fusion. Yeah, because I'm not running... Like, I'm not a Spell Shot, so I don't have Spell Sniper. And I don't currently have Spell Crit Chance on Ring. That Crit Chance part is pretty important. And I already have Radius increases, so I'd rather have 2 Crit Chance parts. Now, maybe I could get away with 1, it's just... I would... I guess need a different Insight Ring. You gonna spawn ads, Dragon Lord? I don't need you to do that for body run. Thank you.
Healing vial, get your healing vial here.
Our checking is further testing.
You want to know me? Bernadette.
seems okay. Seems real good here. Like, this isn't even the right element one. I would love a poison one.
Was that it? We've got an easy mark over here.
Shoot multiple bullets per shot. It's just one. The alt fire shoots in a 2-shot burst, but it's just... Well, actually... It looks like it shoots 2. Yeah, it looks like it's 2, so you get 4 per burst. That's actually big. That's 4 dot applications. The main fire looks like it's just... regular gun, maybe? Well, like, regular gun seems to be killing as quickly as... Unless I had another dot of some kind going there. We'll have to get a better sample size. So excited to see how Redux evolves with time. Me too. Normally the alt fire? Yes. But if the main fire still seems good and the alt fire is the one doing the guaranteed status thing, then that's probably an indicator that it's not doing all that. Let's see.
Call the town crier. I'm a menace. Ooh, got a bit of healing.
Doesn't seem like the status it applies is very good, but this is one of those builds where that doesn't matter. I really want a poison Archek now. Poison would be ideal. Where's the enemy that drops us? Diggin. Where's Diggin? Where can we farm Diggin? Snake Sister and Drill Map. Okay. I haven't done that quest in a year. We'll go there next. Going towards stairs, the one on the left. Cool. Thank you. He's out digging somewhere. What have we heard about the state of enchants for Redux? Feel like they're in a weird spot to me. Also doing spell things, take that with a grain of salt. So, Redux team has stated they do not want to do damage increasing enchants. There's only a couple of those in the game, and they're very specific in how they do that. But they do like the idea of ones that enable new gameplay loops and new builds and stuff. So I would love to see them implement more enchants into the mod. Because at the moment, for some build archetypes, it is very limited. Like, as you mentioned, for spell builds, for example, there's only a couple that even benefit you. Like, if you're running MBX, you have spell cast, spell radius, and like, if you're doing double knot, you have gun kill movement speed. Like, those are your enchants, essentially. So yeah, I hope they implement more. I think not doing damage increasing enchants is a miss, makes rings and armor passive extremely important. I think it would be possible to responsibly implement damage increasing enchants. Like, we've seen, they clearly want to avoid the ASE 50 situation, and like the next 2 mags and ASE splash, they want to avoid that BL3 had. But there were responsible damage increases in the enchant slot, in the annoyance slots, excuse me, in that game. Like, you had the terror ones. You had URAD. And Amara's gun damage annoyance were large in value, but it made sense because she's got very little gun damage and skill tree, and it forced you to use specific action skills, specific scenarios. It worked out to be balanced fairly well. You can do damage increasing enchants responsibly. Yeah, you would have to make them small. Oh, hey, Theodore. How you doing, Mr. Adblock? I appreciate Epic's short item videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to watch, but I always forget. I saw he posted a, Aw, it's Melee both. I saw he posted a, rare farm video. It's cool. On added enemy in Redux. Yeah, with core passive stats, those being gun damage, ability damage, melee damage, spell damage, being less accessible in Redux on average because they're smaller on gear, and myth rank being weaker as well, and Buffmeister not giving those stats anymore either, it means that your rings matter a lot more in this mod.
We're having a grand time, aren't we? Finally, that cooldown took ages.
So, like, because of that, enchants for small amount with hopefully intuitive trigger conditions would be fine. Like, I don't like the idea of spellcast damage bonus for, like, builds that aren't even caring about their spell slot. I don't love that. It's something more thoughtful than that. Once BL3 increased build diversity greatly, then you build enabling chance and redux, maybe spellcast action cooldown one, even that's minor. Radius, the radius stuff. Action skill active projectile speed sounds like that could maybe alter viability of some stuff. But particularly the radius increasing things seem the closest to, like, enabling new gameplay styles. Other than that, the main thing that seems to have opened things up is the fact that, like, none are tied to a particular item slot anymore, and that's cool. But it's just there's so few of them that it often ends up feeling like you don't need enchants at all. And I don't know how intended that is, but I'd say you can justify needing enchants when every item can be enchanted and it's functionally free.
Are you dead already?
Did you get one of those lightning bolt crossbow guns? They're so fun. Back from shower? Welcome back, Sora. I'm kind of impressed we still hit a 10k dire sack there.
Isn't even fair. Looks like someone took a wrong turn.
Petition to force Quag, do the snake quest. Takes 1 minute, you don't really have to do anything. Yeah, I genuinely forgot that I was gonna do that scroll. Remind me this time. Trying to get my Chuck build going, but RNG's been a fickle mistress. Yeah. There's so many variables of what a spine touch can be. Like, you could get Dagger Storm, you could get Hydras, you could get Pixies, you could get Shrikes, you could get Lightning Bolts, you could get Chain Lightning Bolts, you could get Bouncy. Like, there's a lot. And then there's the Crossbolts, then there's the Elements. It's one of those situations where they could be like, hey, you get a spine touch at the end of every run, and it could still take you weeks.
Wanna cross blades is the best, do ya? Don't worry, I'm sure the next group will have better luck than all the rest. Can't do it.
That Dire Sacrifice didn't hit anything.
No
Weird.
real badasses now.
Yeah, so the thing with Heart Check right now is low instance count. Like, guaranteed dots, but is that better than the donkey just kicking out all the shots it's doing? I don't think it is. Like, guaranteed, but shooting at like a fire rate of 7, 2 at a time with a burst delay, and then this is shooting at a fire rate of 8 all the time, 2 at a time. Like, I'll try again when I have a poison Heart Check, but Donkey is real hard to beat here, because Donkey also has the crossbows. Saw blades, whatever. Donkey's premium.
Up, Daisy.
Kwa Ramna, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy.
Crack some skulls. Oh wait, is it offensive?
Wag Chad, wag. I might have blown myself up. Aww. Yeah, I totally blew myself up. Skill issue. Can the donkey get melee crossbolts? Yes, I have melee crossbolts on mine.
Well, more bad guys. I see you also know the old hit until they go down trick.
Yeah, sometimes this is difficult to play. That's the appeal. I do 2 calamities for going to the arena. Let's back up to stack up the the spell radius from my enchant, since I was gonna grab the ammo thing anyway, and it refunds. Well, it sets your charges to 1 for any multi-charge spell you have, those ammo altars always set it to 1, so I may as well be at 0 when I do that. And I probably didn't have that spell radius on, because it only lasts 5 seconds, but it was in case I got fusion explosions on those skeletons while I was setting up my big ounce. Pet people happy. Yeah, it's good to see you, Ron. I really wish the Phoenix wasn't just what it is. It's just so mid. Alright, quests. Drowned Abyss, right? Hard check time, yeah. Which one is it? Yo, Optimum, you want to let me have some connection stability today? You haven't started yet, but I believe in you. It's a lie, I don't believe.
We're like 2 peas in a pod, 2 bullets in a mag, 2 things in one other thing.
It's nuts. How are you? I don't really need sword explosions on this setup, do I? Nah. I don't. I'm good. Good to hear. Wonder if I could just check these. Let's just check those. Maybe I don't even have to do the quest at all. Of Curse and Claw. Okay. Thank you. Like, let's just go over here and see what happens. Oh, it's not open. It's not open. Can I go around? No shot it's open on the other side, but that's how we learn. No, okay. Have to do the quest. Random thought, every time I see the message drop, all I can think of is don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. Gotta head out for board game night later. Have a good one, Viper. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh, it's a party now.
Oh, I forgot to download the mod. There's a new mod out. Grim put in a dialogue skipper for BL3. You just hit a button and it skips whatever's currently playing, and it also works with Wonderlands. I forgot to get it. Maybe it's just a scroll speed in Redux. It's something that other people have brought up. I don't really notice the difference because I already mentally check out when using UI elements in vanilla, so I can't really sort out what's a Redux problem and what's vanilla. Well, it's not something I noticed.
Rest well, sailor.
That's it. Yeah, let me link the mod. Hang on. Here.
Should be smooth sailing. If he was still alive, I bet he'd have laughed at that.
Just so we're clear here, that now dead pirate was talking about sirens, right? As in the dangerous women that lure sailors to doom via drowning?
and not the magical ladies who are very real in our world.
Yepskis, you got it. Look at you two drawing conclusions and crap. But then...
So, another fool has come to challenge us. Let us test your resolve.
I know this isn't the right one, but it's here.
That one's fine. Don't touch that loose.
Calcon. Poison even. Perfect. Is the week over yet? I wish, Pris. I wish.
Magical.
Inexorable!
Those sailors were weak little sweepers, easily defeated. So, let's see if you're made of tougher stuff.
This week's a universally shit one. It's one of those. I've been distracting myself with good food to the best of my ability, but it's still been... Ugh.
Ooh, I like this one. They're tough. But not tough enough to resist our siren song.
You cannot be.
Arcane Bolt also comes from digging? Interesting.
Sweet being such as this one. Oh, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Champion, go and...
I cannot think of a single reason why I wouldn't want to kill Captain Claw.
So, what? We're just under the spell of these coiled ladies now?
Yep, gotta do whatever they say.
Sounds just like Carol.
Why you gonna wanna know?
Hell no.
It all started when our eyes met across a bistro on Hedon 6.
Hey, what did I just say?
Hell no.
Mood Valentine.
Hell no.
Fine, okay.
Well, I'm not doing the quest, I'm just gonna use that. Can't even distract myself on manga. Yeah, they're all on break right now. Is Guardians 3 out, like, now? Is that today? Maybe I go see that, so I'm not bored. Today? Maybe I go see that. We'll see how I'm feeling.
Don't worry, I'm sure the next week's gonna have better luck than all the rest. I think
Dark
that's
magic,
quite
art
enough
check.
out of you.
Inventory's full again. I don't really need a live wire. Tune out of reality like I do. I do a lot of that. Unfortunately, it's not sustainable. Dissociate, this is the way. Holy shit, stomach, are you okay? I think I'm exploding. I think it's initiating the self-destruct sequence. That was like a series of gurgles I've never heard it make before.
Under a spell, and I gotta kill you now, Claw. Come out and face your doom. Okay, you're leaving me no choice. I'm gonna kill your pet.
I don't wanna kill the pets. No, I'm not doing it.
Wait, are those crabs talking?
And they sound real depressed, too.
Aw.
The litter box pronto. This Since they're about fried chicken and noodles, I was gonna ask if I could have some. You ate all the chicken before I had time to ask. Pain.
I almost don't want to fool the rest of you. So we'll tell everyone how intensify. Carry on. Get out here. Just like I told you. I feel magical.
One's got less fire rate. One's got less damage. Make cheesy scallop potatoes with some hamburger and green chili. Ooh. Ooh. Mmm. Yep. That got a stomach growl. Graduated from gurgling to growling. What am I gonna eat today? After we get this drop, I'm gonna go take a break and figure out what I'm gonna eat today. I have no plans for lunch or dinner, and I should really change that. Especially, like, if I do go decide to see a movie, then maybe I get dinner while I'm out. I don't know. I haven't gone out in a fucking while, Chad. I don't know the last time I went out.
I almost don't want to fool the rest of you. So we'll tell everyone how intensify. All right, I will. Carry on.
In large part because it sucks around here.
My spell.
Also because I've just been ordering stuff grocery-wise for cooking experiments rather than hoofing it as I used to. I've gotten lazy.
Drop the ball. We'll all go together.
Cryo. Need to get in cooking again. I do recommend it. It's one of those things that I didn't know I was really into until I just started doing it more. Like, I didn't realize I was really into cooking until I was 24. Yeah. Hey Jaybridge, morning Urban Mech. Built where I can eat the same frozen food every day of the week for 3 years without question. Sometimes I can do that, but like I do have thresholds where I get tired of particular foods. So I like to have a rotation.
Hardly getting started.
Ah, here we go. Poison. Beautiful. Gonna make General Tso's chicken some point today. Just don't know when. That's a mood. What are you farming? The gun we just got, the heart check. That's got a guaranteed poison dot on the alt fire, so we're gonna see how that does. I did say I was gonna get up and go figure out my food situation, but I didn't think I'd get the drop that soon, so it can still wait.
Enter if you dare. But seriously, you should dare.
Just one more, you know? One more. This is health bug. Is this health bug?
This would
Maybe? Suppose we'll be able to tell on the boss.
I almost don't want to kill the rest of you. Who will tell everyone how impressive I am? All right, I will. Carry on.
In case of the one more, as you know me, I cannot resist.
Spell, yeah.
Yeah, Pack Rage is really threatening in Redux, because enemies get attack speed as you go up chaos levels. So then them getting fire rate as well. Just burr.
Life or love.
Just need to deal with the poison head, and then we can go crazy. Maybe we need to take the other one out too. Graveborn, you're not cooperating. Stop blocking my shots. There we go, that's what we wanted. Might be a problematic boss. Yeah, just switch weapons for the heads is the only thing I gotta do. Like, have something that lets me just get rid of the poison and the fire heads, and then we're chilling. We need both of those out of the way to fusion effectively. Went burr there at the end. Yeah, it was just getting through that resistance, and then it was fine. Lasagna is my main frozen food, and a mix of beef, potato, onion, and fried egg. Ooh. Another fried egg enjoyer. There are very few things that I won't just prefer with a fried egg on them. It enhances fucking anything. Used to hate that boss till I realized PTA just blows it up. Yeah, PTA, Barbalode, guns with built-in multi-target stuff like Fragment Rain, Live Wire, White Rider, Sawmill. If you get enough splash or spell radius with things that have, you know, big radius, you can hit all the hitboxes at once. It's like a Wicked Gossip, for example. Now we're cooking. Enchiladas with an egg. I haven't had that, now I need to. Oh, look at that chain. That's a solid one. That must have been an alchemical agent thought that started that chain. Okay, head of the snake. 3 blast gasps. That's interesting looking. I don't think this is the blast gasp combo that I want. It's like Dark Pact doesn't help. I think it'd be better to go with something else. It is interesting. Cooking with blue fire.
Extinction is hardly getting started. Wait, come back. I was almost done killing you. Can't do it.
I wonder if an amp hilt would be good with this weapon. Because I could swing and then fire 2 bursts, and all but 1 shot would be amped. And that would mean the dot from them would be bigger. Thank you, someone else, for testing. How does a hard check's alt fire formula work? Thank you for testing. Go-to is a bagel with cream cheese, Gatorade, and ibuprofen. I'm a fan of the greasiest cheese pizza I can find. Gatorade and ibuprofen. You gotta have some extra greasy cheese pizza. Remind me tonight? Yes, sir. Hate this boss? Why is that, Lizzie? Do you use a lot of, lightning or fire stuff? Roll the amp does apply to blue fire. No, amp. I'm thinking more roundabout. Amp would increase the dot applied by a hard check if it applied the dot naturally. I do not know how exactly the dot application of a hard check works, but amp is, unlike regular gun damage, amp increased dots placed. So, like, if we cared about that dot value, then amp would be big. Immunity phase is not even immune, just waiting around. I could see the waiting being annoying, because like this downtime between animations kind of sucks. There's ways to optimize it, but it's you actively doing nothing. So yeah, I feel you. I'd mentally clock the Wonderland's gun damage change weakening dot formula. Yeah, when they swapped around the gun damage stats like that, gun dot builds got a lot weaker, but then later they added more support for gun dot builds, and there's like other support in the mod as well. Man, a usable AR. Hey, the donkey's a usable AR. Don't sleep on the donkey. Machine my noodles taste good. I'm usually not a fan of sweet foods. I can never decide if I really like sweet foods or not. I think generally I do. But there's some things that are like too much for me. 2 usable ARs. Sweet nudes. Yeah, my low resolution for my chat box made me think that actually said nudes, new, until I reread it. That's why I stumbled. Like some support for my random ideas of builds. Oh, what kinds of concept you working with, Irish? I still feel like Donkey's better here. Cryo hard check is something to test, see how it handles that. See if it like freezes really well or something. That could be interesting. Kinda wish this Calcon had melee crossbolts, but oh well. Really like Spore Warden in this mod, such a nice class. Redux changes to Spore really did a lot for it. It's interesting, in some areas it's still like very much behind, but it feels like it has a lot more identity and has a few more things that are like uniquely it. I think Redux did a good job with class design. There's ways to go, of course, but definitely better. Spore in vanilla is like one of these weird situations where it's not bad, it's just good at the least things. And the thing it's best at is not as good as other things either. So like, Spore in vanilla is one of the peak classes for gun builds as an archetype, right? But gun builds themselves are like 4th string in vanilla. Easily outclassed by spells and melee and dots. So like, if your only strong showing is for something that isn't even comparatively strong, it's just a weird place to be class identity-wise, and then it doesn't boost much of anything else very well. Ability damage stuff, sure, but that stuff mostly sucks anyway, or is double dipping off of other archetypes. So like, Spore boosting Blast Gasp isn't really going to be a thing because you're going to want Spell Shot to make the spells bigger so that you get Blast Gasp off of that. And Spore won't be supporting it in cooldown, you don't get Ambi-Hex, it's just things of that nature. But stuff like the freeload skill they gave it in Redux, that's awesome. I really like that. I think Barrage is still in need of a lot of help. In the mod. I think Barrage could use some time under a microscope. Oh, I haven't tried Calcon with Gunslinger. I need to try that now. Multi-ball cannonballer could go hard here too. And just shoot so many bullets, get the enemies to die with Vanilla Spore. Yeah. Like Blightcaller, because being a stinky little dot spreading fellow is funny in my eyes. True. Spore was my first class. I think I tried every combo for it. Only really liked it when Blight came out. Spore was my first class as well. Irish. Well, not my first. My first was Stabo, because we had limited class options in the Mount Craw beta they let us do a month before the game came out. But then when I was playing like the full game, my first class was Spore. The Bovine Bamboozle. Con meta. Yes, Priz. You were eventually right. Hey, Pupty. How are you? Have any good chips today? Spore works really well with the punctuator with the amount of shots you can put into a target. Save shots, ammo regen, amp damage. Yeah, freeload is just such a fantastic skill. It's basically an upgraded version of Cloud of Lead, which is a Moe's skill in Borderlands 3. One of my favorite skills they've made across of all their games. Like, Cloud of Lead is such a fundamentally good skill in terms of design. And freeload is just that, but, like, better. It's crazy. Like, melee crossbow con would go so hard right now. Totally run amp with this, too. Sorry for the flashing lights. I'll try to look away. Chips made me very sick. No! Normally I would eat them in an Oasis. I finished them off at 11 PM last night, thus I'm sick today. That's just upsetting. I'm just upset. Oh. Mission failed, we'll get him next time, I guess. Like, I can't say that I haven't done that with foods. It's like, man, this is not gonna agree with me. I should stop eating, and I just continue eating. But, like, I still feel bad about it. They were good, too? Damn. Our check alt fire doesn't seem to do any weird freezy tech. Makes sense. How is it for healing?
I'm just too damn pretty, right?
My pick work.
Come on, you can do better than that, surely.
Seems decent. Maybe that's an option if you need healing on other builds. I mean, I know they introduced a pistol that just kind of does that, but have this too. Maybe. Possibly. I think this is another unique they could stand to, like, change or something, because, like, plus damage while in Weep Wild Dankness, this takes a whole ass item slot. And you can't avoid it. I had milk in them, and I've been that stage of food where my stomach is treating unwelcome guests like an allergy. In them, on them. In the